This is the State Farm postgame show.
Well, folks, the holiday season is supposed to be about giving, but not for the Raiders. All game long, their D was stout and stingy. And they took this game from the Chiefs by the score of 20-14. And hello again, everyone. Welcome to the State Farm postgame show. A reminder tonight on CBS begins with The Price is Right at night. That'll be followed by Mariah Carey, Merry Christmas to All. That's coming up tonight right here on CBS. I'm James Brown, and I'm going to get it right this time. Phil, Coach, and Boomer, right? I saw two blondies down on that end. Hey, Bill, great game plan by the Raiders.
Well, and it's also a reflection of their coach, Antonio Pierce. When you think about what this team stands for, it's about a physicality. It's about being relentless. They understand their shortcomings. Yes, offensively, maybe not the quarterback of the future, but you know what? He's changing the culture, and it starts with how they play defense. And that's okay. The line of scrimmage. Watch this defense and what they did today. You sit there and talk about Patrick Mahomes. He was running for his life. He was trying to put this team on his back. He was confused. He was frustrated. You can see right here, they've had 12 interceptions this year. The last 2 years, they've had 12 combined in 21 and 22. Again, you can see right here, he drops 8 now down in the red zone. So he mixed it up, and this team, they were believing in what they're doing. You see what they have right here. They had 2 touchdowns today, 4 sacks. Max Crosby was all over the field. I mean, right now, 10 quarterback hits for that defense. Again, you can talk about the future, but right now, you don't want this man to leave. He understands the culture that needs to be re-existing in the Raider organization. It's about playing defense. It's about having a physicality and a presence. And Antonio Pierce and this football team have regained that identity.
I would say that Mark Davis has got to be pretty happy this Christmas watching his team play the way it played today, especially on defense. But on the other side, I think if Patrick Mahomes is honest with himself today, he didn't play well. He did not see the field well, and it started early in this game. Think about this. Patrick Mahomes has now lost 3 straight games. The Chiefs has lost 3 straight games with him as the quarterback at home. That's never happened in his career before. This is the most losses in a regular season for a Patrick Mahomes-led team. He was all over the place today. Phil and I were sitting here watching this. There were guys open, and he was not throwing it for whatever reason. And I think he was spooked by the rush a little bit. And that does happen no matter how great you are. But he was, like I said, he was not right from the start of this game until the finish of this game. And they could not finish.
How did you feel?
Well, I'll just say this. If you get hit 3 times, what makes you think the 4th time that they're not going to hit you? So it kind of got in there. I will say this about Antonio real quick. The message he's sending to the team has gotten through. That is clear. What they're 4-3, it's clear. Here's Patrick Mahomes today. Behind the line of scrimmage, 14 of 15. 15 throws behind the line of scrimmage. He ran for over 1,000 yards running around to do whatever. But I think my biggest thing is this. Andy Reid, you could always identify what his offense was. Now, Bill, we all talked about this. Plays connect. Today, it looked like, well, let's try this play. Let's try that. It's this. You never felt like they got in any rhythm with the play calling. And, of course, the execution was not there all day long.
And, you know, this team, you think about, they've been a team that's lived off the big play. You know, they were first in the league a year ago in terms of big plays over 25 yards. Right now, they are searching every game just to get a big play. And it's almost methodically going down the field. And that's just not how they have been in the past. And at times, if you're not accustomed to playing that way, you get frustrated. And all of a sudden, you try to start to do things that you're not normally wanting to do. So they don't do things that are complementary to each other. They're not connected. As you talk about, you're going to run the ball, you should have a play action off of it. So there's a lot of things that right now, as you talked about, Phil, before, there's a play here, there's a play there. But I think, again, the defense is still there. And honestly, I give more credit to the Las Vegas Raiders right now. I think that's the way they play and the way they've been playing with Antonio Pierce. They've got an identity. They got some shortcomings. I get it. But you know what? This guy, they connect with this coach, and he's bringing back that identity and that culture, that Raider football.
Nothing he can do about nothing he can do about the shortcomings other than to minimize them, right? And maximize what you have.
Play to your strengths. We all have shortcomings.
Exactly.
This reminds me of the team when they had Rich Bisaccia as their interim head coach, and then Mark Davis let him go and made that mistake. So I would think that this, hopefully Mark Davis has learned that this team really does respect its head coach right now. The other thing I would say, remember, now in the AFC, the #1 seed is out of the question for the Kansas City Chiefs. Here is the playoff picture. But if you are the Dolphins or Ravens, you can get that #1 seed. And believe it or not, the Browns are still in the mix for the #1 seed. Now, a lot of things would have to happen for them, and that would start with Baltimore losing tonight at San Francisco. And if Baltimore does lose tonight at San Francisco, next week's game between Miami at Baltimore right here on CBS is going to be a huge game, and it's going to have huge playoff implications for that #1 overall seed.
Right. Yeah. Let me say this. What did we talk? You and I were talking.
Love what you had to say. Go ahead.
You know, well, he's lost faith in wide receiver.
Okay, yeah.
Whatever. Patrick Mahomes.
Okay.
Look, that's not your job. Here's the play. Read it. Throw it. If they drop it, they'll put somebody else in there. They're trying. They do what they can. But that whole premise, well, this is why it's not working, because he doesn't trust. I don't know. I mean, am I right or wrong? I think I'm right.
No, you are. I mean,
you know, just play the play and you can't. Did you ever get under the center and go, this play's designed for this guy over here, but I don't think I trust him?
The only thing I'll say is when you are returning...
The answer to that is yes.
Well, then, no wonder y'all lost.
You know this. When you have won the Super Bowl and you have been touted as the top team in the AFC for so many years, you are the measuring stick for every team. That's hard to keep that sustained week in and week out. That's why it's hard to repeat in the National Football League. Because you become the measuring stick. You become the barometer for every team that's going in there. For the Raiders, we have to go be able to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. Everybody that walks in there and plays it is saying the same thing. So that's why it's really hard to repeat in the National Football League, to bring that same game week in and week out.
Do you remember the play where Patrick was running to his right? He just threw the ball down the right sideline. We all thought it was an interception.
Right.
And it was, we thought they called it an interception, then they overturned it. Right. You know, that's the play right there that tells me that, you know, something's off. Yeah. He's not seeing the game. He's not feeling the game. And look, he's the greatest quarterback of his era. There's no question about it. He's an awesome player, but he's also a human being. Yeah. And sometimes we have off games. Today was an off game for him. I felt like, and I bet you he's going to stand up in front of the media after the game today and say that he did not play well. Right. And he's going to take all of it on his shoulders.
This is quick. Change the way you play. And what I mean by that is it really is managing the game. We hear that all. It's real. Just run the ball a little, what you do, rely on your the defense is playing really well. You got a lot of really good parts to this football team. You don't have to put it all into one group and say we're going to throw.
No, but here's a point that I want to underscore what you were saying before, which I thought was an excellent one, with respect to Coach Antonio Pierce. The schedule that he had in front of him and what he did with it.
He beat the teams they expected him to beat, if you did, and then he beat the Chiefs. Okay,
statement game.
That's a statement game.
And the only thing I'll say is we can analyze all the things about their offense. The bottom line is they gave up 2 returns for touchdowns. They had a botched fumble that was returned for a touchdown and a pick 6 returned for a touchdown. You give up 2 returns for a touchdown, I don't care who you are, you're not going to win in the National Football League. So you can overanalyze everything else, and yes, there's a lot of questions that got to get answered, but you starts with turning the football over, not just turning it over, but giving 14 points.
So you're telling me the defense did it again. They played well.
I mean,
for the Chiefs.
Chiefs defense didn't give up any points. I mean, they really did.
Take a look at their remaining schedule right here. Obviously, the Bengals come to town this week, and, you know, they got to straighten it out. And, you know, when you're playing against a quarterback, Jake Browning, who actually had his own turnover problems in Pittsburgh this week, now your defense has got to get the turnovers for you. I just, again, it goes back to my original premise. They didn't look right offensively from the get-go. You even said on like the second or third snap.
Second play. They fumbled
it just didn't look right. And, you know, and Travis Kelce was slamming his helmet down. Patrick was yelling at the offensive lineman. And there was no connectivity between the run game and the pass game today. The offensive linemen were struggling with Max Crosby and Kuntz. They were all over the place. But I still go back to the fact that we expect so much from Patrick Mahomes because it's been so great for so long. And today was a really, really tough day. And the last 3 home games for them have been really bad. You know, let's face it, they're human. And teams now know how to defend against them as well.
They're edgy. They're going to go. They're going to still win this division. They're going to get a home playoff game, but then they're going to have to go on the road. But they got to get their minds right these next 3 weeks.
Yeah, not trying to create a specious argument, if you will, but over the stretch of games, we've heard a number of people talk about what you said a little while ago, Eric Bieniemy.
Well, yeah, look, I think when you watch their football team, I don't see anything that's different from anybody else. Years ago, they created systems and plays that everybody copied in the NFL. I haven't seen that hardly at end this year. Watch all the games that they played.
All right, and again,
they miss him. His creativity, who he is. I think that's a big part of their offensive.
So we give the Raiders all their due credit. All right, folks, we will step aside for a quickie here. The State Farm postgame show continues after this. that we were going to have to try to defend, and if you weren't here earlier, I'm certainly not going to say it. We'll just
let it go.
Let it go.
Merry Christmas.
Best thing.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah,
Merry Christmas.
Yes, you too, Coach.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Bill.
Hey, folks, we love you so very much. We will look forward to seeing you next week on another edition of the NFL Today right here on CBS.
I'm really happy.